Hi there, I'm Ann Warburton. I'm a fiber artist, and I'm here with my good friend Kerstin Peters, who's a visual artist as well. And we're going to talk to you today about creating in groups. So, Kerstin, tell me a little bit about you and what groups you are in.
Well, I have a couple of groups that I belong to. The biggest group is the Plein Air Ensemble, which is a group of artists from the Ottawa region. For the longest time, we always went to Quebec because there are other groups in the region that went to Ontario, but now we figured Ontario is big and our members are getting older, so going on a 7-hour trip to spend a weekend of painting is a long ride. So we usually stay here, and the group has I think more than 50 people right now.
Wow.
But when we go painting, it's between 14 to 20, so which is quite reasonable.
And how many nights would you normally be away?
4 nights.
Wow, that's
Four
an
nights.
amazing trip.
Yes.
Yes.
And we don't paint together.
Okay.
Usually it's always small groups of artists that paint together and go to different locations, and then at night we all eat together and we talk about, oh, what did you see, where's a good spot. Sometimes we are lucky, we have an artist from the region who says, you know what, you should go there, this is an amazing spot. But usually it's always so 3 to 5 people who go to certain spots. There are some artists who like to be by themselves, and that's fine too. But I like to be in a small group. I feel more secure.
Yes, I could understand that.
And especially if you don't know the region, you don't know what to expect, so it's a safe. Plus, I find it's fun. You get to talk. Sometimes you don't see your other friends, artist friends, for a month, and you have to catch up, so it's great.
Right.
And I find it so exciting. I usually go with 2 friends of mine. If we look later on at the art and say, oh, look, this is, you got it focused there and I focused there, and you have the big panorama.
Oh, that's
It's
so
so-
great. And then that would also give you an opportunity to get feedback or maybe get new ideas from them, see different ways of doing some of the works.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of every trip, we have a show and tell.
Oh,
Where everyone
great.
puts out their pieces, and we have artists of different mediums. We have watercolor artists, we have acrylic artists, we have some pastel artists, and we have oil painting artists. So
Good variety.
it's good variety, and it's fantastic to see how everyone sees nature with different eyes. And that's what I like the Plein Air Ensemble too. Some people say, are you crazy? You're going out when it's freezing cold. But still to be in nature and to just be immersed in the sounds and the smells, it's just fantastic.
And I'm always amazed at if everybody is doing the same picture, say a barn or a tree, at all the different interpretations and how different every picture comes out every time. It just floors me. It's so wonderful. Are there any other groups that you're a part of?
Well, I have a group of friends where we go more regularly because the Plein Air Ensemble has only 2 trips a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And this group of people gets more complicated because we all have busy life, but we try to stay in the area. So all around Ottawa, there's enough to see.
Right.
And in the different seasons, it's just great. And you feel more secure when you're with a group. Plus, if you already mentioned it, if you get stuck, you can say, you know what, something's wrong here, I don't see this. And the next person might say, yeah, well, it's easy, the roof is tipped the other way, then you have it. And you change that, and it's like, you were absolutely right. That's exactly what it was.
Was there any other groups you wanted to talk about?
Well, there is one other group I'd like to talk about, which is not part of my friends group, and that's completely different from what I usually do. I like to go out for painting, but this group is called the Ottawa Urban Sketchers, and I think you are a part of that too.
Yes.
And it's Ottawa, well, this part is from Ottawa, but it's based all over the world. and they have some world days where everyone around the world goes sketching. But for the Ottawa group, they have certain events, certain outings where they meet, and where whoever is available that day can just come. It's usually a free event. They try to do locations that are free. And you just go and draw whatever you see. Some people use a little bit of color, like watercolor, maybe some colored pencils, but it's usually sketching.
Right, right. And different groups have invited the urban sketchers to come and do pictures at their locations. We were at Lansdowne Park one year for the curling trials when they were in Ottawa. There was one event where we could go in for free, so we were able to go in and do lots of sketches of the curlers. And recently at a dress rehearsal with the Ottawa Pops Orchestra. And it can be very uncomfortable for some people to sketch when others are coming and looking over your shoulder, so it's really great to have other people with you. But people really are interested. They're not coming to critique or judge what you're doing. They're just really interested to see what we're working on. And we're all levels, where some are very beginner drawers, others are very experienced, so you get all kinds. It's just great practice. And I get very inspired from that because I don't do a lot of drawing, so to go out to these events keeps me in really good practice.
And to get help from others, especially if you're a beginner. They are all very helpful. If you have a question, or later on we all show the images we drew, or if you can't make it, do it on Facebook. They're all very positive. There's no one who says, and you should have done this and that. No, they help you out if you ask, and you get the inspiration. You see what the others did and can say, wow, yeah, I can try this. Maybe I'll try a little bit with different pencils, or use a crayon instead, a colored crayon, instead of just always going black and white.
Right. Now, I've been in some groups quite different from what you are in, and that's through a group of fiber artists that I'm friends with, and through the Out of the Box fiber artists who are based in Ottawa. And we get together regularly for what we call play dates, and it's basically where you choose a technique or a new material, and we spend the day learning how to use them, learning how the different techniques to use with whatever material we've chosen. And then we spend the day playing and experimenting, and the results can be just so fascinating, and we figure out ways that we can incorporate these things into the work that we do. So we try to do this about once a month or once every 2 months. There's usually a lot of preparation to gather materials, but you can find those at secondhand stores. So it really becomes an all-encompassing event. Not just the play date, but the preparation, and then how to use the materials afterwards and incorporate the materials.
And it's great because you play. You are not there and saying,
yes,
"Oh, I have to. This has to just work.
It's
I'm
experimentation.
good at this. I should be able to do this. This is an experimentation." And as you said, what you like, you can take into your own art.
Right, exactly. So on to a new question is, how do you see this helping with your success as an artist by creating in groups?
Well, it makes me go out and paint because life is busy, and sometimes you just forget to paint with all those things that are going on. And if you have a group and you have a place to meet, then you usually go. You learn something else from them. You get inspired. Sometimes you're just so busy with your life too that you forget what you wanted to do, and when you go out, it's like a fresh breeze of energy coming, and you share the experience. That's the other thing. If you're in your studio, you're by yourself. That's great, and I like to be there sometimes, especially at the end of a project. But I love when I am with my other artists and I can just get their energy and be outside. It's such an inspiration. Nature is an inspiration too. So.
Very much so, and you mentioned the word energy, and that's exactly what I was thinking, that you just feed from the other people, and you get excited again, and when you get home you want to just keep working and not have to go to sleep or make a meal or whatever else is on the agenda for that day. One other question, Kerstin, is have you had any challenges with finding locations to do creative work?
Locations are a challenge because there's beauty everywhere. Sometimes the beauty is so big that it doesn't fit into a painting. So what you see is, but then you think about how you can create this illusion on a canvas and you think it won't look good. It's like when you take a picture with your camera and then you look later and say, why did I take that picture?
Right.
The other challenge is, well, you have to set up somewhere and that has to be safe. Often you see set up just fantastic, but there's no safe spot to set up your equipment or to leave your car. That's the other thing. You might see something and then with your equipment it would be too heavy. That's the advantage of your drawing or sketching. You just have a little package and you can basically go anywhere.
Right.
If you're painting and you have the easel and your paints and everything, even if you pack lightly, there are some limitations.
Right, and of course there's the indoor events as well, which we do more so in the winter, but in the summer, of course, you could hit rain or thunderstorms or whatever, but sometimes finding that indoor location is really difficult. Now, I'm lucky with one of my smaller groups, we go to each other's homes, and one has a carport. For the rest of us, we have large spaces in our basements that we can use. But if you need to rent a place, it can get very pricey. And it's hard to find a place that will allow you to bring in things like paints, because they're afraid, of course, that you're going to leave big marks on their floor. So sometimes finding that can be really hard. And there is a group or a new website in the city called Space Finder that's supposed to help. So we're really hoping that we'll find some new unique locations that where we can take groups into as well. And that's through the AOE Arts Council.
Okay, yeah, cost is always an issue.
Yeah.
You want to go to places that are mostly free, and you want to go to places that are not overly crowded.
Right.
Like if you go painting at the Tulip Festival and you hit one of the weekends, you won't have much fun painting because constantly people will be in front of your canvas all around you and you feel squished and it's not fun at all.
Exactly.